So for this video, I'll be running through some of the EditPoly modeling options, which are available when you add an EditPoly modifier onto your geometry. So to start off, I'll just generate a very basic plane, a few more segments, and add the EditPoly modifier. I'll choose this edit the geometry by polygon, and I can jump straight into the selection tools. So one of the most basic ones is the open selection tools, which selects all the polygons which are on the outer edge of an object, and by pressing Ctrl-I, I can select the inverse of whatever selection I have. If I go back into modeling and into polygon modeling, I can generate typology, which basically changes the mesh form of whatever object you're dealing with. And if I click skin, for example, okay, it changes the whole thing. That's fine. Next, I'll use one of the more interesting modeling tools on here, which is under freeform, polydraw, and it's called branches. So it's very simple to use, but the result is quite interesting. So basically select any polygon you want and drag up with your mouse. Do another one here. And yeah, that'll do. Next, I might go in and select the polygons on the outer edge again, and maybe add a extrude modifier and bring them down a little bit. So now we have these interesting forms sort of on a platform surrounded by like a Trump wall situation. You can go in further and do a few more selections. So you can select by normal. So this will select all the polygons which are lined up with the x-axis, so within 1 degree of the x-axis. And so that's quite a small selection. As I increase this angle, more and more of the meshes will start to become selected until I have the whole lot. So if I select the Y tool, that will select all the flat parts, which makes sense because they're all aligned with the y-axis, and I could add something like maybe a greeble modifier and build up a little city here or something. So remember, the greeble modifier will only select triangles or quadriangles, so that'll make it a little bit more different as well. Now we have a bit of a convoluted city. I might actually go back and delete that. Simple as deleting the modifier here. Now we'll maybe make another selection. So if I wanted to select things from a certain viewpoint, I could do that. So go into a certain view, select a view, and drag up this perspective tool, and it will basically select all the polygons that are closest to your point of vision. So as I'm moving it up, you see that the polygons are moving away from where I was looking from, and from this new view it will start doing the same thing. one thing you could do with this view selection is, for example, you wanted to select all the north facing faces. So you click on the north symbol, select perspective, and this will select all the faces which land within your perspective. I don't know why it wasn't selecting this front wall, but you get the idea. It's basically selected all the north faces, and now I can go ahead and it's also selected this, which I don't want to put any geometry into, so I could just hold down Alt and drag around it. So while it has this selected, I can go in and make it insert modifier, polygon, and maybe create some windows or something. Go ahead and delete that interior mesh, and that will generate this sort of form. And if I go right to the other side and do the same selection, I will have to start again with another EditPoly modifier so that this delete mesh will stay as it is. So I'll go back into select by polygon, and select by perspective again, and keep it at the number it was, and click the select tool, and it will select all the opposite faces. And maybe on this one I could add something in, like the group modifier. So there you go. That just adds the Greeble modifier to that particular selection. Okay, so now we have some sort of interesting forms happening. Might change the base color by adding another EditPoly. Going into selection and select by the Z axis, and seeing as I don't want to select the Greeble tools, I'll just go out and hold down Alt and drag across, and I'll just have the base selected this way. So while you have this base selected, maybe a couple more faces at the top, you can actually save this selection in select stored selections and save it in this little box here. And